Okay, so we've got Daniel back in the chair again, and I'm going to be filming a haircut tutorial. And I'm going to be doing a more step-by-step tutorial on cutting his hair. And the look we're going with is a tapered fade going from shorter to longer into here. The top is going to be slightly a little longer than like something really, really short, just all forward. And then we're going to have a little bit of length throughout the front here. So it's going to be like a short, faded, forward direction type of top, with this being the highlight of it and having a little bit of volume in through here. So something that's going to be really, really cool. So with Daniel's hair, what I did do to prep his hair is I did wash his hair, but then I went back in with the blow dryer, because to me, working on dry hair with clippers is the best. You don't ever want to work on wet hair with clippers, trust me, because first of all, the hair bunches up when it's wet, and if you want the ideal results, you want to see real time what's happening, then you want to use clippers on dry hair. So I'm starting with a number 2 guard, and I always start in the back. That's usually my biggest thing, is I start in the back. I probably will end up going a little bit shorter than a 2 guard, but what I want to do right now is just get rid of a lot of the bulk into this area. Okay, so when you're doing these types of haircuts, now if you're a licensed professional, or somebody learning how to cut hair, this is going to be a great video. If you're attempting to do this at home, I would say good luck. Don't try this at home, but at the same time, you could probably learn a thing or two from this. But I'm starting with the number 2 guard, and I am keeping the lever closed, which means that it's going to be the shortest version of this number 2 guard. And one thing you'll also notice what I'm doing, and I've been doing it for many, 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 many years, is as I go up, I comb the hair down into the clipper. To me, what that does is it helps really give a much more cleaner division point between what's cut and what's not cut. And I know sometimes when I'm doing this, sometimes somebody will look at this and go, oh my God, you're not going to leave it like that, are you? You're going to leave it like a bowl in my head. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Just let me finish. So then what I'll do, as you can see here, is I'm extending the clipper right into the sides here. And again, what I'm trying to do is find a point that I know I can work from to work into the shape. This is the foundation of the haircut. And if you if you don't have a foundation or a roadmap of how you're going to cut the hair, or how short you want it, or where you want it to blend, all these things really play an important role in the finished result. And as I did mention, I'm probably going to go back in and go a little shorter right into these edges, but I can do that a little bit later in the haircut. So now I'm extending this, working around this way, and then also what that does is it makes me think, oh, okay, maybe I need to raise the back up a little bit higher here, so I'll go ahead and do that. I'll work up the foundation line into here. So this line of demarcation right here, that's where I'm going to start the blending process, working into the top shape. Let's go all the way around. There we go. And when you do that, what you're doing is you're setting yourself up visually to really make the haircut much more clear, right, to you. And if you don't have a roadmap to this, you're going to end up being lost in the haircut, especially when you're doing clipper work. Sometimes I see people just take clippers and just start randomly going up like this, and it's like, you're not doing it any justice. You got to make sure that you're doing everything with a purpose. All right, so now once I'm done with this bottom portion, right, the baseline of the hair, it's time to start thinking about, what are the next steps? Where am I going to go from here? So obviously I have to get rid of all this, right? I got to work this into the top. All I'm going to do is simply raise the lever right here to go to I say it's like a 2.5 or so. So that's just going to start the blending process. And that is what the clipper lever is for, just to give you a little bit longer version of that previous guard you were just using. And that's how you start to really lightly blend and taper the hair. Again, while I'm working, you can see I'm combing the hair into the clipper guard. And what that's doing is it's giving me a perfect symmetry so that it keeps me focused on where I'm working, where I'm blending, where I was, where I'm going, all that stuff. Now I'm obviously turning him around, but as you can see, I've been pretty much standing in the same spot for like the most part. And it's also a great thing to do because you can just turn him around you. You're already positioned properly, so don't put your back in a bad position. Don't like hurt yourself trying to cut hair. You can literally just have the client work around you by turning the chair. I know it sounds like common sense, but sometimes we overlook these things. So here we go again, pushing the hair into, and I know you're probably not seeing like a whole lot of transformation yet, but where the magic is going to happen is going to be in the next phases of this the haircut. So now I'm going from a number 2 guard to a number 3. I'm going to close it back up with the lever, and I'm going to pick up right where I left off, right in the back here. Now some of this hair is still a bit damp, and what's happening is that's why sometimes the hair isn't coming right off, because it's got to get through that wet hair. And that's why I said it's best to use clippers on dry hair, because like as you've seen through here, it just goes right through. Now what's happening is jumping right to that number 3 guard, I'm already starting to see now the transition process and the blending process right throughout this area. Now with any haircut, I always go back in and I do stuff by hand to double check and cross check and blend in. You know, I'm always going back in to do finishing work, right? That's always something you want to do, is to go back and do finishing work just to make sure everything is perfect. But now, as I mentioned, is where you're really going to start to see the nice transition. Once again, there we go, pushing the hair into the clipper guard. And it's almost like cutting your hair, you know, straight across with scissors, right? You're holding the hair, and I'm literally like making a straight line with this. Again, I know it may look crazy, and some people may be like, oh God, you know, what are you doing? What are you doing? But the thing is we're getting rid of these, you know, the harsh line of demarcation here, the weight line. That's why we're switching from guard to guard. And look, you know, I'm not a barber. I don't claim to be the world's best clipper cutter, but I have learned over the years, I feel I do pretty decent men's haircuts, and I work pretty well with the clippers. I have a different approach than maybe, say, a traditional barber. This is something I've learned over the years, where I'm a kind of a hybrid, where I take my skills and apply it as if I was doing barbering, but as a hairstylist. So it gives me a very, very different perspective on how I'm cutting. And I appreciate you if you're watching this and you're watching the entire thing. You're either asleep by now, you know, or you're getting some great value out of this. All right, so again, I never stop using the comb, right? That's the one thing. I never stop using the comb to push the hair into the clipper blade. But now, as you can see into here, I'll go back in and do some freehanding like that. But for the most part, especially when the hair is a little more damp, I'm always going back in and pushing the hair into the clipper guard. When it's wet, right? When the hair is dry, it comes off much easier. But when the hair is wet, this is definitely a huge help. So now what's happening is we're getting towards the round of the head in through here. And now is time to where I start to think, okay, you know, around this area is when I got to start to go in by hand and start blending everything in that way to really soften everything and really give it a good blending, but I also have to go back and get rid of all this too. So there's still a lot of work to be done, and then we still have the top. So traditionally, you know, if I'm cutting someone's hair, right, I'm usually taking 45 minutes to an hour, right, and then some. Okay, and that's really the difference where I'm not a barber. I'm not trying to get somebody in 15, 20 minutes. And I'm also charging a lot of money for my haircuts. And I want to have that client experience. Now, filming someone is a whole different experience as compared to if I was just cutting someone's hair off camera. Okay, on camera, obviously, there's a lot more steps involved, and it's going to take a bit longer. But for the most part, I'm usually booking about 45 minutes to an hour for my appointments. And to me, that just gives me just the right amount of time that I need to botch somebody up. I mean, to give a good haircut. Nah. Now the jokes come out, Daniel. Now the jokes come out. So, all right, we're done with the 3 guard, and then I raised the lever. Now we're doing a 4 guard, right? And these are the guards that I use. They're ones with the metal clips on them, but I like them because they're just a bit higher quality. But this is a number 4 guard, and I'm going to go right into this area, right in through here, and literally all I'm doing is going like level by level, step by step. I'm picking up where I left off on the last guard number that I used, and I'm just picking up. Right? I'm picking up where we left off, and what happens is the hair naturally will start to blend and taper on its own. You could also see my hand movement. It's very quick, but also some light flicking. Right? I don't like to do a whole lot of flicking. I know that's a big thing, but because to me, if you do too much flicking, you're actually missing a lot of the hair. So me, what I'm trying to do is cut the hair. So I got to make sure that I'm getting those pieces, and that's where I use the comb a lot too. That's where it comes in very, very handy. You know, sometimes if you see people going like this the whole time, that works to a degree in my opinion. And if you do it and you're great at it, then awesome, good for you. Just for me, the way I work, if I do too much flicking, it's just going to be very, very inconsistent because this isn't a robot arm. The tension's changing, the weight it's constantly changing. So it's hard to be that consistent when you are kind of raising and flicking the hair upwards this way. But what I am doing is I'm consistently pushing the comb down and pushing the hair into the clipper blade. That's something I'm always going to do. I'm also starting to think now as we get closer to the top or the corners, all right, I have to start blending this in at some point. I have to start blending this into the top. So I also still do want to keep somewhat of a narrow shape into here, but all this hair has to work into this part. As you're cutting, these are all things you need to really take into consideration. Okay, they're all very, very important. Now the rest I'm going to do by hand, but also what I'm going to do is start to work into this area down into the bottom here. So now I'm going to take my number 1 guard, let's just turn this way, and I'm going to start right down into here. So I'm going to lightly work upwards, but I'm also keeping in mind that I will have to blend this in to the rest of it. Some of this may naturally blend in because remember we started with a number 2 guard. So it's very, very easy to go in, let's turn this way, right? As you can see right into this area, it's very easy to blend that in. Because if you're starting with a number 1, well, you're simply just go to a number 2 guard. 1.5. So a lot of the blending is pretty much done for you. You could even just flick up this way, right? Change the position of the clipper, and it's pretty much faded in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue to do this all the way throughout the back here. We're going to get rid of all this hair down into here. And it's going to really neaten up a lot of this. So sometimes it's not about like reshaping the entire haircut, you know, or going like super, super short. Sometimes it's just getting certain areas, keep turning, just enough so that it can blend a lot better. And here we go, right in through here. And you want to do this, kind of take your time with this, do it step by step, and realize, you know, what kind of hairline does your client have? What are you dealing with? Right in through here, I'm working the clipper downwards because his hair grows down and some of it grows up. So you want to work and use the clipper in as many ways as you possibly can. By keeping it as natural looking as possible. You just really have to finesse it, especially when it comes to this area. You just got to finesse the clippers, finesse the hair, and sometimes it's all about making small little changes. Even as you can see right in through here, just that little flicking alone is creating a natural blend into everything right into here. So you want to keep working on this area, right? Keep working in that area to where you feel it looks perfect. All right, so I'm probably going to switch to raising the bar a little bit, right in through here. Now as you can see, I'm changing the way I'm using the clipper, right? I'm going a little more aggressive, but a lot lighter at the same time. Because I'm just lightly trying to take off that little line of demarcation there to just softly blend in the hairline. I'm all about trying to keep the hairline as natural looking as possible. Keep in mind also these are very bright lights on the hair, so it's going to look very, very different and a lot more bold with bright light shining on it. But at the same time, the technique is going to be the same no matter what. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to lightly just taper this down a little bit more right into here. And here is where I'm going to use the clipper with no guard. But he has, you know, some people have sensitive necks sometimes and you have to really take it easy. So I'm just lightly kind of grooming this down to have it more of a taper than having a super harsh. As you can see, we're tapering it much better now instead of having like a super harsh line on the hairline, which works fine. It works fine for some people, but for Daniel's situation, as you can see, we want to just really, really keep this as soft and natural as possible. You appreciate that, right, Daniel? Yep. All right, and that's where you have to go. Even if it's, I mean, I'm barely even going up this way, just ever so slightly, because I'm respecting the hairline, and I want to make sure that, you know, he's going to not have any sort of reactions. If you have a very sensitive neck, you got to really, really be very cautious, right? You have to be very, very cautious with all this, and respect the client and respect. Now, you may not know this. You may not know that about them, right? You may cut their hair for the first time and think you're doing, you know, everything is fine. Like I know even with my neck, like if you were to shave my neck going down this way, I'd break out like crazy on my neck. I have a very, very sensitive neck. You doing good, Daniel?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to take the 1.5 guard, and I'm just going to lightly go into this area, right in through here. Just to soften anything up right in this area. Oh, we still have the top to do. Oh, God. All right, so now it's time to, I know it seemed like a lot of work, and some of you, like, if you're a speed barber, then yeah, you could probably have this done in like 5 minutes, and that's totally cool. Good for you. I just don't work that way, and my clients, you know, or people I work on expect a whole different experience with me, so I can't really gyp them out of that experience, although some would prefer not to hear the bad jokes for so long. But yeah, so I think I know that anyone can easily watch this and literally just be like, oh, I could have done that in 5 minutes. Well, that's awesome, but I'm not looking to do that. You'd feel like gypped, right? Daniel would be like, Salon Guy, dude, what are you doing? You'd be like, what are you doing? But now what I am going to do is I'm going to work all this in by hand right into this area. And this is the key difference here is, you know, I have met actual barbers and people who don't know how to do this whatsoever. Like they don't know how to cut by hand with scissors like this or do any scissor over comb or, you know, this is where the finessing comes in. And this is where the magic really happens and the touch, the blending, you know, the putting the icing on the cake, that's where all this happens, all right? And, you know, that's why I like this part of it because what we're really doing, as you can see, look at how nicely that is blended now, all by hand. And what we're gonna do is work that throughout the entire back. Now, remember I mentioned earlier when I got to one specific area that I said, oh yeah, we're getting towards the back of the head. Let's keep going. We're getting towards the back of the head now into here, and it's time to leave some length and start to figure out what are we going to do. Well, now it's that time, right? Now is the time where we start to think, okay, the hair is getting longer into here. We're at the back of the head. We're getting closer to the top. We got to change up our strategy into here. So now it's more a matter of following the head shape, right into here, than just cutting it super, super short. So following the head shape is, you know, very, very, very important. And some people have a flat back of the head. Some people have a very rounded back of the head. Some it's just, you know, it's perfect. Everybody's head shape is different. So that's why doing scissor over comb really allows for you to customize the haircut to the client's head shape, because you can control it much easier than you can with clippers. So here is where I'm going to go in and remove that weight line, which we saw right there, that slight weight line. And now it's perfectly blended in. And that's really why I love doing this. Also, I do have these combs for sale on my website. These are the combs that I use every single day. So I also have my own scissors right here, my own blow dryer, my own products. I have a whole lineup of products and hair tools for whatever you need. So that's also pretty cool. All right, so let's sit up nice and straight there, right there. So now we have to work in through the more of like the internal shape going towards the round of the side of the head. And this is very, very important because this is where all the magic has to happen, right? This is where everything could go absolutely wrong. And chances are with the way I cut hair, it probably will go wrong. No. I've never let you down, Daniel. After all these years, you've been a great friend and model, and I won't let you down ever.
I believe it.
Awesome. Okay, where do we go from here? Well, I'm going to continue working this shape in, right in through the sides, but at this point, I want to start to take on the top. I want to take on the top because what's going to happen is after I do that, all this will fall onto this and I'll be able to shape it much better. So what do we do? Let's turn all the way facing that way. Perfect, right there. And let's bring the chair down with that little handle under there. So we're going to lower, keep going, keep going, keep going. Beautiful. I just want to feel a little taller. All right, pump it back up again. No, I'm kidding. So what we're going to do now is work on the back and the top. So as I mentioned, this is going to have somewhat of like a forward direction type of shape. And also, now that we're wetting the hair, we're also able to see any sort of lines of, weight lines or lines of demarcation through here. And that's where the scissor over comb again comes in handy and cutting the actual length. So what I like to do is I'm going to comb it straight down and I'm going to comb it straight out. And I'm going to look for any pieces right through here that need to be cut. I'm cutting this on a 90-degree angle, meaning I'm literally just pulling it straight out from the head, and I'm cutting upwards. I'm cutting in an upwards motion. And what is this doing? Well, when you cut out from the head like this, we're leaving a little bit of length into here because sometimes a client may have a calic of some sort. So we're cutting this very, very square right in through here. What I then go to do is I look and see how that, right there, how did that react, right? How did that cut that I just did react to me combing it straight out from the head? Then if I have a little bit of room and nothing happened as far as like the hair freaking out or anything crazy happening, sorry, hair flew on my face there, then I say, you know what, I have a little more room to bring this up. And then that's what I go and do, because remember that, they are getting their hair cut. Doesn't mean you have to cut all their hair super, super short, but what you do need to do is, again, customize this haircut to how it's gonna grow out the best. Because if you can keep this area shorter in through here without it sticking straight up from a calic or anything like that, then you're gonna be in good shape. And why not extend the life of the haircut? That's what we're doing. We're extending the life of the haircut here, which is something that he will appreciate. And if you have a paying customer, in your salon or whatever it is, they'll appreciate that much. And that's why I can't do all this in 15, 20 minutes. Like, it's literally impossible for me, because I'm so detailed with how I work. And that's fine. Like I said, man, there's people out there that can work magic in 15, 20 minutes, and good for you, okay? Good for you. So now it's time to go to the next level of the haircut. There's my guide that we just cut, and now I'm working higher towards the head. So here is where we're gonna start to make that connection of going shorter to longer, okay? So we've moved on from the past. We're leaving the past behind temporarily. And we're going to start to work into the top of the head, because now we're in a whole new territory right into here. So how do I do that? I'm going to continue to cut following the roundness of the head. To me, that is the best way to connect this into this, right? It's the best way to make that connection, is going towards the face, cutting vertically. Because what that does is it allows it right into here, and he does have a little bit of a calic right here, but because of how we've tamed it, it's not sticking up and flying all over the place. What that is allowing us to do is it's allowing us to work towards the top, and it's going to let us blend everything in moving forward without having to worry about this anymore. Like I mentioned, we're leaving the past behind, and we're now going to start to work towards the face, or towards like the front of the hair. So now, let's go all the way to the camera. Beautiful. Now what we can do is cut everything horizontally, because we don't need to blend the back into the top anymore. And there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that piece that we just cut, and I'm going to now cut the whole entire top of the head horizontally towards the front. Now also when I'm cutting this, I'm looking for any sort of inconsistencies. If you see any, uneven pieces, whatever you see, don't feel afraid, don't not cut it, get rid of it. I always say, when in doubt, cut it out, all right? But what I am going to do is I'm going to start to over direct the hair as we get towards the front. Now when I say over direct, that means I simply want to leave this a little bit longer. So as I mentioned, we were cutting it short, right, or cutting it shorter, but what I do want to do is I want to make sure that we're leaving a little bit of length on the top to be able to have the main focus point. for this style right in through here. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to continue going section by section all the way to the very, very front to where it's the ideal length for it to be able to go back. So here we go, right in through here. We're going to comb this straight out from the head. Now when I say out, it's different than up because the hair grows out from the head. Not everyone's hair grows up. So I'm literally just following the contour and really working this shape in so that, as you can see, this is going to be the longest point right in through here. Let me just clean the face off a little bit, close your eyes. Another thing to keep in mind is you always want to make sure you're cleaning off their face because a hair sandwich is not always the best for you. Another thing to take in consideration is how the direction his hair grows, right? So I'm seeing that the hair wants to go over this way. He has, kind of a side parting naturally, so I'm trying to work off of that. Now what I'm doing is I'm working on this side and this corner right in through here. The hair is drying, right? As the hair dries, it really gives me a great perspective on if I need to do any more work. And yes, I need to go back in here and I need to blend this. I need to really, really work more on getting this connected. And that's totally fine. That's what this is all about, is perfecting this. So as I'm working upwards, I'm now able to connect the dots in through the corner, right, and through the sides, and through the top. And that's where all this comes in together in one piece, right? All of this is now starting to come together, starting to make sense. And there it is. That little bit that I did right in through there really just connected everything and brought everything home. Okay. So now I'm a Virgo, so I'm a perfectionist. Right, Daniel?
Yeah.
You know, I'm a perfectionist.
Works in my favor.
That's right. It hurts my back eventually, but usually after all my haircuts, I'm in excruciating pain for the rest of the week. All right, so now let's turn all the way facing the background there. Right there. Now it's time to go back and work our way up. Now I'm the type where, as you can see, if I see something, I'm gonna cut it. If I see an area that I go, oh, you know what, I missed this, or the lighting was different on this, or something looked off on that, I'm gonna go back in and shape it up. And obviously, like I said, under bright lights, sometimes the angle, the shadows are very, very different. So, no problem. Go back in, fix it, tweak it. Okay, now it's time for the corner right in through here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold this straight up, and there is the hair that's longer right in through there. So what I need to do is completely blend all of that in so that it's perfectly horizontal on top, and that's really going to help the shape out, because initially this was very, very heavy in through here, so we need to eliminate that and make sure that the hair really lays properly. So now what I'm going to do, let's spin around right there. Perfect. So I'm now going to, once again, do scissor over comb to work in this area. So as before, remember we went through the top, the corners, and now we're on the sides, but now is the perfect opportunity to really connect this, because we're seeing how the hair is laying or overhanging towards the corners, towards the sides, and that's where the scissor over comb really comes in to connect the dots on this side now. Remember, the entire haircut is about making everything blend, making everything connect, all right? And if you skimp out on this, it's really, 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 really gonna show. Hate to say it. It's really gonna show. Can you get a good haircut in 15 minutes? I mean, yeah. If you find somebody who's that skilled, right, that can do it such phenomenal work. If I wasn't talking, most of me is talking. I'm also doing a YouTube video here, so I'm trying to really take my time and educate and share the value and knowledge with you all. But you know, if I wasn't talking, I could have this done maybe 30 minutes. All right, let's go towards the camera. So let's just see how look at that. Look at how he just turned, and look at how the shape here is really coming into place. All right, now what I'm looking for is seeing how this is going to react. Because remember, we want a little bit of length throughout the front here, and I need to go back in now and decide, all right, is it too heavy? Is it too long still? How is it laying? What's going on here? So here is where I'm going to be doing the quality control. That's a good one, right? This is the QC part of the haircut, quality control, to where I'm going to go and go over every single detail of this to make it where it's an absolute masterpiece, right? Where everything is locked in, everything is blended in, everything is working and flowing as I wanted it to. And, you know, this is really going the extra mile for whoever you're working on, because, you know, if you don't do this, then chances are, can the haircut be good? Yeah. But if somebody is paying the level of money, like $100 or $150, whatever it is for the haircut, then they deserve that, you know? They deserve that. So what I'm going to do is I'm seeing this is a little heavy into here, so now I'm going to cut this all straight down and cut a little off the front, which we haven't actually done yet. So now I'm cutting the length in the very, very front. So now that that is done, I'm going to go and run the fingers through it, and I'm really just looking to see what's going on with the hair in certain areas. So here I felt it could be a little bit shorter right into this corner, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work very aggressively right on this area, right in through here, because it needs it. So it was bunching up in through here, and now it's looking a lot better. Here comes the texturizing part of it. Doing this really helps add a lot of texture and remove some excess weight and adds great volume to the hair. This also extends like the life of the haircut. It also supports the haircut, and it gives you added volume, as you can see right into there. Just from the haircut alone, look at the volume that his hair is getting, right? And Daniel has a lot of hair, but he has very, very fine hair. Each individual strand is a bit on the finer side, which is totally cool. But he has so much hair. All right, now let's turn to the side here. Look at all that texture that's being added to this haircut. If you go looking through here, just by me using my fingers, there's no product in this whatsoever. The fact that I can just use my fingers to create all this texture and volume, it's all the haircut doing all the work. Towards the camera. Okay? Close your eyes 1 sec. So I'm going to shake the hair. All right, now I'm going to brush the face off here. I'm not done yet. We're about 90% done. And now it's just time to clean up the edges. If you want to, you could even go in with the thinning shears and blending shears to kind of blend more, even if you want to. I am going to take my trimmer, and I'm just going to lightly just clean up the edges right in through here. Nothing crazy. I want to keep this looking as natural as possible for him. And there's a lot of times that it's very easy for, sometimes a barber or hairstylist, they're used to really creating very, very sharp edges. And all I'm looking to do, as you can see, is just keep this as natural looking as possible, right? I personally don't want to create something that's like this huge U-shape around the ear. I want to keep it looking as good as I possibly can. And also, taking in consideration, what I did before is I actually already pre-trimmed this. So when I was going in earlier to blend the hairline in and all that, what I was actually doing was creating the hairline. So look, as you can see through here in the back, it's very soft, very neat looking. So I'm actually not even going to do a whole lot of stuff down here throughout the nape because it's already done for the most part. That's where the softness, the blending comes in, okay? I'm pretty much done there. Now I'm going to go here. And again, I'm using my finger here to kind of guide the clipper around the ear. I'll pull down the ear this way. And yeah, I'm seeing a bunch of hair, but I'm also lightly, I'm approaching this very delicately. As I mentioned, I'm looking to see where the hair is falling, and there we go. I can see exactly what I need to do to keep that looking very, very natural right into this area without having to like create a U-line all the way around here, for God's sakes. I'm just looking to keep it as soft as I possibly can. Again, if you are watching this and you are somebody who wants a very, very sharp, harsh kind of lineup or really, really, you know, harsh, I wouldn't say harsh, but like strong, like really strong lines, that's totally cool. And some haircuts really, really need that. There's nothing wrong with that, trust me. That's awesome. But for Dan the Man, I want to keep it looking very, very natural. Okay, let's face the camera. You're out of control, Daniel. Calm down, all right, please. Okay, so now it's time to style. I haven't done a full length. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Need to stand up for a second? Huh?
Yeah, I might.
You're good?
Just for a second.
Yeah, stand up for a second. You see this, ladies and gentlemen? He's ruining the video by having to stand up, ruin the shot. The whole video is completely flopped now, Daniel. No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. You feel better? Yeah. You need to start, the legs were cramping up. Mm-hmm. All right, so now it's time to style Daniel's hair. I'm gonna be using, this is my blow dryer. I do sell these on my website. I did a limited run to start, and they're almost all sold out. I'm already working on an updated version from this because we need to order more. And I think there's like maybe 5 left or so. I couldn't believe how fast they sold, so we still have some available. I know it looks like a dryer you may have seen before. The cool thing about this is that you can turn the handle and it's great for travel size. And you can flip this back, lock it in. It has a number of different settings right through here. It has kind of like, I don't want to say a cool setting, but like a natural setting, which is this, to where it puts out no heat, but at full speed. You don't have to press the cool button. You can if you want, but the awesome thing I love about this is that you can put it on full speed with like no heat, and it really is great for the hair. And then there's 2 settings, a slower speed with heat and then a full speed setting with heat. So it's a great dryer. It's really a great dryer. It's got the ionic technology, so it's actually protecting and conditioning the hair while you're blow drying it. And it comes with the attachment, and it comes with a diffuser, which is great. All right, so now we're looking to get a little bit of lift in the hair. So I'm going to switch to using the heat. So I want to lock this in, and don't be afraid to ever use heat when blow drying. All right. Heat doesn't damage the hair; it's how you use the heat. Right? It's how you use the heat. So what I'm doing is I'm working all of this towards the face. Okay, I'm working the entire shape towards the face, the sides, the top, everything, and then I'm going to go up this way. Like that, to get that volume right through here. So how will this haircut grow out? Well, it'll grow out perfectly. It'll grow out, well, this will obviously be longer in the front, okay? It's gonna happen. But the way I cut it, the way I layered it, it's gonna allow for this to kind of really nicely sweep over and blend into all this as it grows out. So it's gonna look amazing. Now, as far as styling products, what I'm going to use is Clutch. This is the newest version of Clutch. This is the cream hair clay. So if you liked the previous yellow tin that we were working on as a test, then that's what this is, the cream hair clay. So it's going to work great in his hair. Smell this stuff.
That's good too.
Good. They're all good, Daniel. They're all good. I'm going to take a scoop out of it. Very, very creamy. I'm going to apply it into my hands like so. I'm going to leave it in that creamy state consistency so it's easy to work throughout the hair. And I'm going to work the hair forward and then back like this. So I'm going to push this down, narrow down these sides into here, work towards the face, and now I'm going to bring all this back. And look at all that volume he's got. So let's turn throughout the sides here, as you can see. All of this, as you saw, was short and tapered, right? And worked in to keep a very, very consistent, nice shape. But now, this all goes into the texture throughout the front. So this is now the focal point. The haircut was specifically cut for this look. To have volume in through here, to have a little bit of length, and to have some texture. All right, everyone, so I know this was a very, very, very long haircut tutorial. I hope you all enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing it. Daniel's legs are numb. But if you are interested in purchasing any of my products, if you use code YouTube20, that's YouTube20, you get 20% off. And if the order value with the discount code is over $50, you get free shipping in the United States, which is awesome. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you soon.